One of my most profound childhood memories was in 4th grade. I remember sitting in science class when Mrs. Landis placed 8 different components on our desks. "Your mission is to close an electric circuit," she said. So I started experimenting. I picked up the battery, connected wires, added coil, attached the bulb, flipped the switch, when suddenly the bulb lit up. But then the plot thickened. Mrs. Landis gave us a new challenge. Now start removing components one by one until you reach the least amount of components to still make the light turn on. So I started removing. Coil gone, switch gone, extra wires gone. Finally, I was left with just 3 components: a battery, a wire, and a bulb. I started to connect them and couldn't believe it would work, when to my surprise, the light turned on again. Can you imagine how delighted I was to achieve the same result using only 3 components? That lesson stuck with me. But as a 4th grader, I could only grasp one part of it. And as I grew up, I kept uncovering more layers of that lesson. Turns out, it wasn't just about having fewer components, it was about connecting them the right way so that each could perform its unique and irreplaceable role. The light was already there, just waiting to be revealed. And that insight shaped everything I did. I spent years in high tech, but 15 years ago, stepped away to become an entrepreneur, fascinated by how to turn communities into economies. I was a pioneer in blockchain technology and in decentralized systems. I designed new economic models using alternative currencies. And I'm also created digital villages where entrepreneurs and communities could co-create ventures together globally with a shared purpose. Through it all, one question kept pulling me forward. What if the key to human collaboration isn't adding more money, more resources, more time, but it's actually organizing completely differently? And just so happens that I would test that question at a speed and scale I had yet experienced. It was spring of 2020. COVID hit. Hospitals were overwhelmed, doctors working impossible hours, and I wanted to help. So I called my friend Iris, an ER doctor, and asked her, "Iris, is there shortage in face masks? I read about that somewhere." Iris told me that there wasn't a problem with equipment, but that doctors couldn't find babysitters. No one wanted to risk exposure by coming to a doctor's home. So I asked a friend to create a logo. I opened a Google form, and I posted on Facebook. I'm starting an initiative called Adopt a Doctor, with a clear purpose: to help doctors in their homes. Each doctor would be matched with a volunteer who lives nearby, and that volunteer would tap and connect and activate their existing networks of family, friends, and neighbors to support the doctor's needs. Within 8 weeks, 10,000 volunteers organized to support doctors, nurses, and medical workers across 31 hospitals. That is practically every hospital in the country. Can you imagine 100% coverage of hospitals? Major retail brands distributed over $2.5 million worth of products through our network. The story got picked up by global media and was even chosen by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as one of the most impactful civic-led initiatives during the pandemic. But here's the catch. We had no money, no employees, no hierarchy. What we did have was a clear purpose and really, really simple tools that we all know how to use to execute it, like forms, spreadsheets, WhatsApp groups. Each time a person would want to volunteer, I didn't assign roles. No. Instead, I asked each person, what is it that you love? That thing that energizes you? Because I believe that when people act from their deepest passion, they do it effortlessly, and everything else begins to fall into place. For example, one volunteer loved to organize. That was her passion. So we matched her with a doctor who was a mother of a young boy. The volunteer created an Excel sheet, shared it with her neighbors, and asked each person to sign up for cooking slots for the doctor's family. Within hours, 3 weeks' worth of cooking were assigned. The doctor, the volunteer, connected between the doctor's needs and her neighborhood's energy, and you know what? That energy became contagious. The neighbors kind of asked, what else can we do? Maybe there are other doctors in her department that we can help with. Soon, her whole neighborhood was cooking for the entire department, and this was happening across communities all across the country. And with all these local communities cooking homemade meals, we had unintentionally become the biggest catering service in Israel. And that's when it hit me. We weren't just supporting individual doctors anymore. We were transitioning organically to supporting whole hospital departments. And this pattern kept repeating each time with a new type of community. One woman posted on our Facebook group instructions for knitting face mask adapters. The instructions were picked up by local knitting communities as well as 3D maker labs. Imagine elder women sitting in their living rooms while young techies are printing the same product in labs. Within days, we had also become the largest manufacturers of face mask adapters. And then it exploded. Therapists were offering emotional support, dog walkers, people offering their personal parking spaces. Every day I would wake up and discover new circles forming with people I had never met, creating solutions I had never imagined. No central authority directed this. This was purely decentralized. We had recreated something far more powerful than the traditional power structures that we usually build. We had mimicked how nature organizes itself. In nature, mycelium networks connect forest trees underground, sharing resources with no central command. In our brains, neurons self-organize to create thoughts, connecting and coordinating through trillions of connections with no central command. These systems are organic, resilient, and self-organizing, just like Adopt a Doctor was. But here's what matters. This isn't just a story that I'm sharing with you that happened during Corona and pandemic, COVID. This is replicable. Each and every one of you can initiate, organize, and create impact at any scale in your communities, your neighborhoods, your workplace. 3 principles make this possible. First, acting from passion, from that place that you care so much about, instead of waiting to be told what to do. When we act from our deepest connection, when we connect into that internal flame inside of us, and that fire, we show up fully. Second, lighting up existing networks instead of trying to build things from scratch. The communities you're part of are already there, just waiting for you to activate them. Third, connecting to a shared purpose. Instead of pursuing individual agendas, shared purpose creates natural coordination and deepens the connection between us. You know, ever since COVID hit, it seems like uncertainty has become the ground we stand on. And for many of us, that feels like we're spinning out of control. The structures that we've relied on for decades can no longer keep up with the speed of change. But uncertainty isn't only collapse. It's also an opening, an invitation to reimagine how we can organize. But for that to happen, each and every one of us needs to step up to our power. Remember my 4th grade lesson? I needed 3 components to close an electric circuit. And when I connected them the right way, each component could perform its unique and irreplaceable role. The battery, that's you, holding more power than you realize. What are your unique gifts? What is that role that only you can play? The wires, those are your existing relationships. Those communities you're already part of. Who are the people that when you connect with them, energy starts to flow? And the bulb, that's your purpose. That thing you're so connected to, your inner calling. What is that dream that you care so much about that you just have to fulfill? When the three connect, the battery, the wire, and the bulb, a social circuit closes. A hidden structure of human collaboration reveals itself. And when it does, just like my bulb in 4th grade, we light up. Thank you.